Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and I'm in the middle of two important personalities, Republican candidate, Democrat candidate, both nominees, and on 5th November, while the whole world is looking at US election, we are today going to be talking to someone who covered American elections like nobody else. He also wrote a book based on US elections, and this time around, he has visited those states which may play significant role in the result that we will have soon with us. What are the observations of Avinash Kalla, who passionately covers elections, and why he considers elections to be something that should be given as much attention as is possible? Let me have the pleasure of welcoming Avinash ji. Namaste. स्वागत है आपका.
Namaskar, Ashokji. Thanks a lot. And you've been very generous with your words. From one fellow Jodhpuri to the other one.
So let us come to New York, or rather America, with you in 2024. What was the agenda that brought you this time around, and how have been your journey so far?
Well, the agenda is that everybody is now focused and fixated by this whole exercise that the world's oldest democracy is undertaking. US is going to elect the 47th president. It's the first time when one candidate is the center of attraction for the third time in a row. So that is very interesting. And the whole exercise that I believe after long many years that an incumbent president who had thrown his hat in the ring got out of the fray and then they got a new nominee. So many things happening and America is at crossroads. And what you said in the intro, I would say, Ashokji, for me, elections aren't mere a political exercise. Elections are a thing which I say that represent the culture of a particular country, where the society is thinking, what the people are talking about. Because from a distance across the Atlantic, America looks a different world. But when you are here and you move forward from the great metropolis of Manhattan, New York City, or Vegas, and other places, and when you go to the heartland, in a time when people matter the most, you get to see, understand, and view history. So that is what brought me here. And secondly, on a lighter note, I didn't want to be a one election wonder. So I wanted to do it the second time. And in one time you might don't get a sense because the land is alien, the place is new. This time around, I think I'll be able to consolidate my understanding of this place better.
So, for some of our viewers, let me remember about the book that you wrote in record time, and I think that was the first Hindi publication on US elections, the way you wrote it, having traveled all the states of America. So I think this time around you have a better grasp of how America moves, how people open up, because many times it's not easy, even for those who are living here, to get the kind of response from people. So, from that point of view, how that previous visits experience has been helpful for you, and this time you have come alone. Last time you had a team. How that kind of changes your experience of relating to America and especially American voters?
One thing for certain that this is an election where Americans are the most clueless lot. And let me be very clear because they are divided very clearly. They don't know which side to move around, and everybody, and more than people, I think the punditry around it, journalists, opinion makers, they're all looking at a way as to be as politically correct as they could be. The decision, as we know, will be out in a matter of few days, hopefully, if there are no legal contests. Last time it took 4 days to know who the American president would be. So this time the fight looks that closer. But if I look at it, more and more people, the good thing about America is the more you move away from metros, the more people open up. They're hospitable, they're nice, and they don't hold anything back. What they say is what they say. So that is one good thing that I figured it out. It hasn't let us hasn't let me down in the last election, and I hope this time also it is the same thing. But the big draw or the big takeaway from here, or what you asked, that how different the experience has been, is that when you are on the road and you have a longer time frame with you, and when you have colleagues around, it makes it a little more simpler and you're able to cover more grounds. Like this time, I had thought that out of at least the seven swing state, I'll be able to do five. But as I finished my trip back and I came here, I could only manage four. But I've gone to four battleground states, which are key. I've spent time there, and it is anybody's game. The readings are there. Now it is all a matter of how many people have been able to, both the camps have been able to get their supporters out to vote. While Democrats, they look good on paper, the upswing is there, the media is by their side, they have great money to spend. But has Kamala Harris been able to get out more and more people to vote is a critical question, because when it comes to Donald Trump, the support base has remained intact. So, whatever be the loyal support base that Donald Trump had, it is intact. So, will he be able to add a little more to it? Only a couple of days will tell that has his campaign been successful or not.
So I
But the
think,
whole
yeah, you made a couple of points, and every point is important. But one, you said American voters are clueless. Was that the expression you used?
Yeah, the more thing is clueless. Yes, I use it rightly, and more than the people, I think the whole opinion game from which people make their opinion are clueless. Because why I say so is the simple fact that what I've understood or observed is that a lot of stress has been given to a thing called surveys. This is what the poll numbers are saying. This is what the poll numbers are saying. Understandably, all channels, all people, all mediums which are making assumptions are based on these polls. Like if you open the New York Times, it says close to close. If you open 538, it says a different thing. Washington Post says. But interesting thing, Ashokji, I spoke to a pollster whom I befriended in my last trip, and we've been in touch. The response ratio to these polls is less than 3%. So if somebody has taken a pain to call 100 people, only three in the best case scenario have responded. Now, the problem that emerges is that how many of these pollsters went beyond just picking up the phone and going out? Because the reality on the road is very different from reality on the mobile handset.
Reality on the
So,
road and reality on the mobile set. I
are two
think
different things.
absolutely, and the percentage that you mentioned makes all these surveys quite unreliable overall. So let
No,
us
I
go
would
to.
not say they are unreliable, but my whole idea is that they say that whatever be the sample size, just think on it. Out of 100 people, only three responded. So even if the sample size, which here people consider that if there is a 5,000 sample size, it's a good sample size. My question is that have they been able to reach out to all those 5,000? That means the sample size were bigger, or they made these many calls and only 3%. If we take the number, it's anybody's guess.
So before we get to the battleground states, four of them which you have visited, you also said something which I think is quite significant in the outcome of these elections is whether people are passionate that Kamala Harris should be going to the White House and whether they'll come out and vote. And I think there has been quite forceful sort of lobbying, or even President Obama and others, including some celebrities, making case for Kamala Harris, which is kind of a case against Donald J. Trump that he should not come. But whether that will generate the kind of traction which is needed for people to come out, it is something that we can only guess at the moment. But what is your guess, staying towards the way you found people having their sort of a feel or excitement about Kamala Harris?
See, Kamala Harris, without a doubt, has generated and charged up the Democratic base, which was absolutely down and out after the first debate. So she has certainly charged it up. She has given them a hope, and we can't deny the surge that she got the moment her nomination was out. And then at the convention also, there were rumors and things that she might face opposition, and there were skeptics who were saying that she hasn't even contested a primary. so on and so forth. But all those were put to side once the Democratic Convention was there and everybody lobbied around her. So raising $1 billion is no easy task. President Trump, despite what he has been and what he claims, hasn't touched that number. He's hovering around 850 to 870 million dollars. So what I want to say is that yes, there is a euphoria. There was a great upsurge, but beyond that, how well she has fared, only time will tell. And you said something about Barack Obama coming in, great campaigner. I would say in the recent time, it's only Donald Trump and Barack Obama who have had that kind of a frenzy and a command. Not saying that Trump is a great orator like Obama is, but the cult that they have both been able to generate. But listen, the kind of votes that President Obama would have got, he has already secured it. I don't think so. He's in a position that he could get new voters added when he's not on the ticket. So that on this. And again, then coming on the great celebrity stardom. See, Ashokji, I've always maintained that a country as vast as America with 50 states should not be judged by merely three or four states, and especially if all those states swing the democratic way. All these Hollywood stars, they come from where? Hollywood. Hollywood is where? California, a stronghold. Take the exception of President Reagan out. No Republican has won it in the recent time. So it is in that area, they keep that spirit and their whole thing that they think the entire America is a particular state. So that is, I think, is just a local euphoria and a support that they show out. Will they be able to bring the voter to the booth is the big question. And again, coming on it, my observation is that one thing which I've come across is, will the white women vote on the base of gender, or will it be a vote for the race again? So if they ignore the color and the discrimination, only vote for gender, then I don't see a reason why Kamala Harris should not be the 47th president. Whereas if that doesn't happen, and President Trump is able to swing um, a sizable number of young African American and Latino men towards him, which I've seen gravitating, but I can't say the extent, because in the last election, he barely got 5% of the black votes. So if he is able to turn 10 to 15% of that, then the election swings his way. And if it goes, the women go behind Harris, then it is her election to win.
I think this is a very important equation that you bring up. And if we go towards your experience of interacting with the American voters in these four battleground states, talking about some of the white women that you might have interacted with, or the impression that you gathered. So let me also repeat something which everybody knows is there has been case against Trump, or rather the image. It has not been of someone who, on the basis of gender, would have a lot of support from women, is the impression that media gives us. I don't know exactly about that, but overall, the image is probably not tilted towards him. Is the impression that I gather, and I have chances of being wrong. But what has been your first-hand sort of impression from people that you interacted with?
By and large, there is no denying the fact that women don't like the comments that have come out from President Trump over the years, and that he has been involved in all these kind of controversies is also not alien to any of the voters. But there is also a pocket of women that I have interacted in my experiences, and last time also I figured it out. Who said, all said and done, he manages the economy well. With him around, we are able to manage our budgets well. And what he says or does is his private matter. That doesn't bother me. So, yes, he has some support, not a great support. But by and large, the image that the first reaction that any woman would give you is that not a pleasant image of President Trump. So there is no denying the fact. It isn't a thing that has been a propaganda that has been pushed out. Somebody was telling me on the trail that on TikTok, his own old, what was that video, Hollywood Reporter, the interview that he gave to that radio host, many young women voters have got to hear about that controversy for the first time on TikTok. So it is not that what he has said in the past will not affect his campaign, but he knows that. And he's in the.
Let me just interrupt here.
Let me give you one more thing.
Okay.
Another senior journalist who told me that one of the most Googled searches by women in America has been, "Will my husband come to know where have I voted?"
Hmm.
This is the
Interest.
number one question on Google search by women.
That's very interesting. So where I was leading you was also related to like TikTok, now Twitter becoming X, and Elon Musk being a wholehearted supporter, rather a part of Trump team. And so there have been a lot of videos circulating, including some which has been there for a long time, which portrays or rather shows the way Kamala Harris responded at various places and have repeated some phrases in a way which doesn't speak very good about her ability to comprehend the issues and kind of respond from a space of substance. Many times that is the impression, and that those videos on Twitter has also been seen by millions of people, and there have been series of such expressions. Now, social media has always played an important role now in Indian election as well as in American election. So looking at the image that was created, and if I may take the liberty of comparing from Indian political orbit, like some one leader who was kind of painted like Pappu. So similarly, meaning someone who doesn't come from a space of being able to intelligently analyze, articulate, and reproduce with insight on issues of importance. So some sort of a parallel to that for Kamala Harris. Right or wrong is a different thing. Political and especially voting is a matter of perception. If I say in this context, how do you see whether that has stayed with voters? When I say that, let me sort of briefly repeat that Kamala Harris not being prepared to lead the nation, and when she says that after 4 years, she says that we are going to turn the page. People say, "What have you done in the last 4 years?" etc. So those kind of issues were there somewhere among the minds of voters as you interacted.
No denying the fact. And Ashokji, in a land where the First Amendment says you have a freedom to speech, you've been very politically correct in putting your question across. And let me tell you, you were mentioning to Rahul Gandhi and the parallels and the gauze that has been shared. But let me tell you, I would say Indian context and this are two different things. But Harris's ability to respond to questions has been a questionable matter. And this hasn't gone way too well. It comes across that she is not that uh, emotive, or she can't take the questions head on. But let me come back to you. What I made an argument in my initial thing, that this is first time in a history that the third election is played around one person, Donald J. Trump. So when it comes to you saying that will the voters be accepting those go-offs or this and that, it is just a part of the strategy which side you are standing. And let me be very open in saying that America is now more fractured than it was 4 years ago. There are no middle paths or no middle ground. It is either you are with Trump or not with Trump. That is a parallel that has come out very strongly.
Mhm.
And in that is Harris's biggest strength, because no denying the fact that the Biden presidency will weigh on her. And she got a couple of good opportunities to make her stand clear or to give a proper response, which she failed miserably. She was asked in an interview, would there have been anything that you would have done differently? She could have made her position clear, or she could have at least put up a way forward. And she shot that question down, saying, "No, there isn't anything that I would have done differently." One can understand that she was the vice president. She is the vice president, and she was a part of the decision. So how will she deny that? But what is equally more important to see that she should have taken a stand, because uh, uh, when President Biden was not popular on those policies, that was the only reason why she was given a ticket. So I think, yes, that is where Harris stands, but I still remain with the fact that the election is not about Harris winning or America getting the first female president. It's about will Donald Trump win an election or will he lose by a small margin?
So now, the way you put it, I kind of interpret as election tilting towards Trump for the simple fact that if he is the center of focus, that means he's generating enough of traction among his core supporters to go out and sort of cast their vote in his favor. Let me come back to the core issue and in the battleground states that you visited. If you talk specifically about different states, if there has been some difference, the key issue, as I gather from different people, one is the entry of migrants, and that affecting American economy as well as having the potential of disrupting India, America's law and order situation, which there have been many cases, and Trump exaggerated one of the episode rightly or wrongly, which again then Democrats picked up. And so that has been like a ping pong among the two parties. Yet the core issue remains. People are not very appreciative of the way the border situation was handled in the last 4 years, and they perceive that if Kamala Harris comes, probably that is going to be the continuous state. Though she said that she's going to work on repairing the broken immigrant system, etc., etc. But that didn't sit like a convincing sort of a stand taken by Kamala Harris. In contrast, Trump, of course, presents his case in a different way, and he has been known for talking about building the wall, etc. So, talk to me about your observation in the context of this particular issue, how it is playing out in the minds of voters.
Uh, Ashokji, it's quite, for an outsider, it's quite a thing to look at it that the land of immigrants is having immigration as a center issue.
So let me kind of just make this distinction. When you immigrate as a legal immigrant, that's a different issue. But if you
I'm
cross the
coming
border,
to it.
okay,
I'm coming
okay,
to it. That is where I was saying,
yeah.
because America is also called the land of immigration, the land of fair, right? It's a place of opportunity. What is and Trump's stand has been very, very clear on this that he's stricter on immigration, this and that. But what is surprising is that the Democrats have given up. It looks like they've played into the hands of Donald Trump, and they are just not on any liberal thing that would have been expected out of them. So it is very surprising that Donald Trump has single-handedly moved that agenda that suits his place. And I've been to Pennsylvania, I've been to Michigan, I've been to North Carolina, I've been to Georgia, and in all these four places, I see a lot of men talking about this issue that our borders are not right. And again, it's a game of perception, as you rightly said. Crime, if you people look at day-to-day data more than we would do it, people say that it's a perception that the crime has gone up, whereas there is no empirical evidence to say that the crime has gone up,
So this is
and
sorry.
and that
Let me
and
interrupt
that
you.
the immigrants or the illegal immigrants are the root cause of it is again a thing that has been portrayed out. Now, how true it is something that people who deal with it
Okay, so,
normally.
so Vinay, yeah, let me take out discussion for a second, very briefly, from the political side, just as a common sense side. If there are people who come with aspirations and they are being supported by the government, and yet they don't have the kind of wherewithal to sort of move forward in life with their families as they would see others, and if they are given makeshift arrangements to live, so that inequality factor and the way I personally have seen, there is this logical reasoning which leads to the potential increase. And again, directly proportional. Of course, everyone is not going to be a criminal, but it definitely have a pressure on law and order as well as economy of America. That as a common American citizen, my observation would also lead me to sort of conclude but I understand Democratic Party, they kind of played it in a different way, and of course Republicans exaggerated, but somewhere in between, I think this is definitely
No,
a political issue. Yeah.
this is an issue, as I said in my reply to you also, that Trump's stand on immigration is not alien to anyone. What is more surprising is the way Democrats have given up to the argument and towing the same line. You know what I mean? Like if you talk to many civil liberties or different places, kind of thing, they say, all right, there are arguments, there are cases, there are special cases. Not every case is the same. There are people who do it wrong, but if there is somebody who has come in, he or she can be treated in a particular way. And the Democrats used to take a sympathetic view of that. But now they've also toed the line. So what Trump has been able to do is he has made this the central issue. He hasn't brought in any novelty. If you look at his campaign, he's got a very, very strong line that he has been speaking for 3 elections in a row. And that line still resonates with a lot of American people.
So there
So
is some
yes,
reason why it resonates. Yeah, there's some reason why it resonates. But
no,
let
that
me
is what I'm saying. He see again. The whole idea is what I say, that why I say people are clueless or thing is that they don't go beyond a certain area. But
Also,
if you travel across, you will figure it out. Immigration is a real issue that is concerning the common American.
yeah. So since we have limited time and we didn't touch how
Yes.
the global image of America is also somewhere in the minds of voters, whether it is there or not. But if
Ah.
we conclude with your observation in these four battleground states, what would you see as you reach India and America declares its result? Who is likely to be the next US president?
No, I have given my equation very clearly. As all Americans and the experts here are playing safe, I'll keep a distance and I'll keep my caveat. I've given you my equation very upfront that, in my limited understanding, this is how it would shape out to be. But one more thing, as I traveled across all these places, what I found is that there is a great divide, not only among political thoughts and views, but among voters as well. In all these battleground states, the urban centers where most people like me land up, they would find it resonatingly democratic.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
But the urban areas are not the only thing. Donald Trump rules the rural heartland of America.
So
So
let's
if they
say,
galvanize and they turn up, then they tilt the equation. Like when I was in North Carolina, I wrote a piece back
hmm,
home for my newspaper where I said that women hold the key, and that is where I started establishing this whole empirical evidence that in a place like North Carolina, which has been very, very close, Trump won it strongly in 2016. Last election, the margin was very narrow. And right now, both Raleigh and Charlotte are all about Democrats. But you move 5 miles out of the town and you see the city turning red.
hmm.
So, will that number turn up? How will that stack up? And then you ask me a question, why votes and things are one thing which is concerning a lot of people is that my vote doesn't count because it's the electoral college. And that is where, even if, let's say, Trump wins all the three blue states, how will the four other come into play? And that is where it becomes dicey and uh, to watch out for. Like
Again,
I gave you of North Carolina. For Pennsylvania, the Michigan, the big issue is that will the Arabs and the Muslims, which make up to around 180,000 voters, where are they going to go? If they move out of the contest and they don't show up, it's an advantage to the Republicans.
yeah. So
But if they
looking at
show,
looking at the time, just one word answer. U.S. President 2024 name. Guess.
I would I would not guess that. I don't think so. There is any pundit, barring I think two gentlemen. One is Alan Lichman, who has been saying consistently. He has predicted 9 of the 10 presidents right in the last 10 times. He's saying that it will be Kamala Harris. And today morning only I saw one more pollster who is saying that it is going to be Donald Trump.
So we
But
have both heard
I
from.
stay with
Yeah,
my equation and I leave this country the day voting ends.
wonderful. So
So
talking to Avinash Kalla, who came from India, covering American election second time around, and it was such a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you very much.
lovely, lovely talking to you, Ashokji.
Namaste. Thanks to all of
Namaskar.
you, and good wishes for the whole America. On that note, thank you. Namaste.